Hello, everyone. So here we are for Joy Workout Day 9. And so the question I'm posing today is, when is enough enough? And how strongly are you committed to your joy? So I had a very uncomfortable conversation the other day, right after the Super Bowl, which I didn't know when it had ended. And I called a friend of mine. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I'm not usually, if I do, I watch the commercials, really. That's it. Um, and I called her up and she was like, "Oh my God, did you just see the game?" And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. She's like, "Well, but you love sports." And I was like, I said, "What?" Like, you ever like that moment is called cognitive dissonance. Everybody who knows me in any even little bit of way knows that I don't love sports. I don't watch sports. I don't follow sports. I don't like, there's nothing about sports that keeps me interested unless it's figure skating. Anyway, so she's like, "But you love sports." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, I was getting a little freaked out. And I said, "Who is this? Who am I talking to? Like, I recognize your voice, but I don't know who you are." And then she goes, "Oh, I've just been with the family and I'm drunk and I'm a little bit stoned, a little bit." And she's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later." That was enough for me. I don't like cognitive dissonance. It is not a feeling of sanctuary, by the way. I did make the emotional ladder nice and big, like I promised. Got the printout yesterday. So if I stand for joy, appreciation, freedom, and love, there's not a lot of appreciation, freedom, and love in a conversation where somebody's like, "Oh, well, you love chocolate ice cream," and they know you hate or you're allergic to chocolate ice cream or whatever. Um, there's a word for that. That's why I took out the sanctuary book. And that word, I actually had to find it because I couldn't find it at first. I went to look at the ebook so I could do a keyword search. It's under healthy narcissism and self-trust. And the phrase is called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is like something ain't right. Something, and it doesn't have to be as obvious as what this person did the other day. It could be something really subtle, like somebody's telling you one thing, but you're like, something just ain't, you're getting like a vibe that's just the opposite. And it's crazy making. And if you're not a strong person and you don't have a lot of self connection, it will break a sense of self trust because you'll start questioning yourself, like, wait a minute, maybe I do like sports, which I didn't do. I was more like, she's like, this is not cool. Well, so then I was telling a friend of mine about the situation, and she goes, "I stopped hanging around alcoholic people a long time ago because something bad would always happen. Somebody would end up in jail, somebody would end up getting beat up." And I was like, wow. So her enough was way further out than mine. My enough is enough is like here. It's like cognitive dissonance, like, I'm out of here. I don't want to play. Um, and for her, it was all the way out there, people beating each other up and going to jail. And then she was like, okay, that's enough. But then she completely released those people, like, or those situations from her life in a big way. So, my question for you is, if you're here, it's because uh, you, you value joy to enough of a degree that you care about having this conversation, listening to this video, checking out this message. To what degree are you committed to joy? One of the things that I've discovered is that people get hit sometimes in the joy jugular, and sometimes for the rest of their lives, they don't recover. And what fascinates me and keeps me really feet on the ground with what I do in the world, which is talking about joy and bringing it to the surface, is why don't people's friends and families take a stronger stand for each other's joy? They take a stand often for what's needed. If somebody's sick or somebody's hungry or something like that, or somebody's lonely, like they'll see what's their investment is in not perpetuating the lower feelings, anger, discouragement. But not many people I know are committed to um, inviting, creating with, and sustaining relationships, beginning with themselves, that stand on a foundation of joy. And what I've learned is that the people who do in my life, I treasure those relationships, because in those relationships, there's rarely cognitive dissonance. And if there is, we find ways to correct it or address it. It's on the table. It's on the table. There's no mind box. So you understand what I'm saying, right? So yeah, what's your level of loyalty to joy, commitment to joy, not just I want joy, but willingness to take a stand for yourself or someone else for their joy? Because if somebody's been hit in the joy jugular, that means they're suffering in ways that ripple. They're suffering in ways that affect their whole lives, and that spinning can really become a downward spiral. And you can stop that spiral when you become somebody who stands for someone else's joy. You're like, wait a minute, how are you going to navigate these next few steps, dear friend? Are you going to do you want me to help you be more situated in your joy? Because you know when you are. And that's why I wrote Sanctuary, so people could climb out of the negative, but then also take a stand for the joy. And I'm going to probably write another book after this one that's more spiritually based, because it's one thing to climb out of the hole, but if you're habituated to anger, frustration, self-protection, survival, it's hard to let go of those emotional addictions if or habits, because you've been conditioned. Well, let me say it positive. It's easier to let go of those when you have something larger to rest in, to lean into, to feel into, that feels good throughout your whole body. Then you're like, wait, I don't want that. You drop the bottom ones way more quickly, because you're like, oh my God, this feels really good. And I can do things with this. And I'm more creative, and I'm more alive. I'm more vibrant. I'm more intelligent. I'm more coherent when I'm more up here. I always like to say that acceptance and courage are the gateway for climbing up into greater levels of vibrations and feelings and joy. So thank you for being here with me for workout number 9. And I'll see you tomorrow at 2:00 Central. Bye for now.